I was still holding the small velvet box when my phone buzzed against the tablecloth. And a stranger I had never met tagged me into a live stream that was already 40 seconds old. The private dining room I had booked for our 5th anniversary smelled like candle wax and warm bread, and the waiter was refilling a glass for a table that was not mine. My name is Delaney Prescott, and I spend my working life sitting in quiet rooms writing down exactly what people swear is true. I know the sound a lie makes when it is being recorded. I did not know what my own would sound like. The video was shot at a charity auction 15 minutes across town, a room I could have driven to in the time it took my food to arrive. Grant was standing near the podium with a borrowed microphone in his hand and a smile I had watched him practice in our bathroom mirror, saying that some people never really leave each other. They just wait. The phone moved and found Sutton Blakely beside him with her hand flat against his back, and the caption running under the stream said, 12 years and counting. We had been married 5. The math sat in my chest like something swallowed wrong. My hands went numb before my brain agreed to any of it. And that is the part nobody warns you about. How the body understands first. The room noise dropped into a long, ringing tone, the way a courtroom sounds right before a verdict is read out loud. I watched the video twice. I watched it a 3rd time with the sound off, because I wanted to see whether he looked afraid. And he did not. He looked comfortable. Then he called me, and I picked up because 5 years of habit is stronger than 1 minute of truth. Go home, Delaney, he told me, in the same flat tone he used for weather and traffic. I am not going to make it tonight. He did not apologize. He did not bother to lie better. And that was the thing that turned cold in me. Colder than the woman. Colder than the caption. A man who is caught panics. A man who is calm has already decided where you fit in, what happens next. I did not cry in the kitchen. I sat at the table where we had eaten breakfast, opened my laptop, and did the only thing 10 years of work had trained into my hands. Tennessee requires every notary to keep a journal. 1 line for every seal. Every oath. Every person who swore a document was theirs. Mine was current and clean. That journal became the only friend I had. Grant had sent an attachment to a group thread the week before. The kind of mistake a careful man makes when he stops believing anyone is watching. I opened it to see his work the way his client saw it, and found my own name at the bottom of the page. My signature was there. My seal was pressed beside it, tilted a few degrees left, the way mine always tilts, because that is my pressing hand. The date was a Tuesday in March. I pulled up my calendar and found that Tuesday. I was in Memphis. 4 hours of testimony from a man who touched his tie every time he lied. I had the transcript, the hotel folio, and a parking stub in my car door. My journal had no entry for that date, because there was nothing to enter, because I was 200 miles away with a machine in my lap. Someone had put me in a room I never entered. I called Cass Bellamy, who works in a law office, and skipped past the part where friends call it a misunderstanding. Do not answer him. She cut in. Do not delete anything. Not one text. And do not put a word of this online. You are not a wife in this story anymore, she said. You are a signature, and signatures get charged. Get a lawyer before noon, and do not go to the firm he uses, she told me. And she stayed on the line while I found one. A man who forges a seal in a rage does it once, on a night he cannot explain. But Grant did it on the days I was out of town, which means he had been reading my calendar. Beckett Doyle called me the next morning and asked me to meet him at a coffee place off Church Street, and he did not open with sympathy. He was a licensed investigator now, but he had spent years inside the State Securities Division, and he had been Grant's friend before he quietly stopped being one. He sat down across from me with a paper cup he never touched, and looked at me the way a man looks at a witness he cannot afford to contaminate. I had expected pity, or the soft voice people use at funerals. He gave me neither. And that was the first kind thing anyone had done for me. "Is your notary journal intact?" he asked. And I told him it was. Every page. No gaps. No whiteout. "Have you ever opened an account at Sutton Blakely's bank?" he asked next. And I said no. Not once. Not a checking account. Not a certificate. Nothing with my name on it. "What did you text your husband after you saw that video?" he asked. And I told him I had not sent a single word. He set the cup down at that, and for the first time his shoulders came off the edge. "Then you still have a case," he told me, "and most people in your chair have already destroyed theirs by midnight." I asked him why he was here, and he answered without decorating it. "I saw numbers that did not add up 4 years ago," he said, and I told myself it was not my department, and I have been paying interest on that ever since. He did not tell me he was sorry for me. He told me what a federal investigator would ask me, in what order, and what my silence would look like on paper if I broke it. I have spent my career sitting in quiet rooms writing down what other people swear is true. 5 years of oaths. Thousands of pages. My seal on every one of them. Every man in those rooms had someone recording him. I was the only person in this entire story who had never been on the record. Grant did not call me unstable. He did something colder and far more American than that. And he did it through a lawyer. In writing. On letterhead. His statement ran 2 paragraphs and said he was cooperating fully with investigators, that he had recently discovered documents bearing his wife's notary seal, and that he was heartbroken. Not accusing. Heartbroken. A man does not use that word unless someone has told him it will play well in a courtroom. The consequences did not take weeks. They took 2 days, and they arrived in the order Beckett had drawn for me on a napkin. A letter came from the Secretary of State suspending my notary commission while my file was under review. And that letter did not care whether I was innocent, only that my seal was in question. 3 firms canceled my depositions before the end of the week. One of them by email, one by a scheduler who would not put me through, and one without any explanation at all. 10 years of showing up early, of never missing a page, of being the person judges trusted to get it right. And it came off me in 48 hours like a coat. Then a federal agent called. She was polite in the way that means nothing has been decided yet. And she told me she wanted to understand my role in some filings. And she asked whether I would be represented. My lawyer took the phone before I could answer. "From this moment, you do not speak to your husband," she told me afterward. Not a text. Not a voicemail. Not one word about the weather. Because everything you say to him is a statement he can hand to the government with his name off it. Sitting in her office, I understood what I had actually lost. Not a marriage. Not a man who lied to me in a private dining room. My name was on thousands of pages of sworn testimony in this state, and my name was the only thing I had ever really owned. And he had spent it. He did not need to make people think I was crazy. He only needed them to think I was the one who signed. The envelope came to Cass Bellamy's office. Not mine. With no return address and my name nowhere on it. She called me from the parking garage because she did not want to open it at her desk. And I heard her breathing change while she read. Inside were printouts of internal transaction records from Sutton Blakely's bank. The routing of retirement money out of accounts that belonged to retired teachers and city workers. Every entry carried an employee identification number in the approval field. Every one of them was hers. Sutton had not sent me an apology. She had sent me a receipt for her own execution. And she had sent it because she finally read her own file. Grant had made sure her number sat on every transfer. The way he had made sure my seal sat on every acknowledgement. She approved. I notarized. He touched nothing. I sat in my car in that garage, and I did not feel relief. I felt sick. The kind that starts behind the eyes and works down. For 11 days, I had built her into the woman who took my life. The woman with her hand flat on his back, and 12 years running under her chin like a scoreboard. And she was standing in the exact same room I was standing in, on the other side of the same trap, holding the same paper. We were never two women fighting over a man. We were two signatures in one plan, and he needed one of us to break first, so the other one would look guilty by comparison. The only handwriting in the envelope was 3 lines on the back of a bank slip, and she did not ask me to forgive her. Check the approval field. She wrote, "He did the same thing to both of us. And I am not sorry. I am just faster." She did not sign her name. She did not have to, because her number was on every page, and she knew I would recognize it before I recognized her. Cass read those lines out loud to me twice, and then she said the part I could not say. "She is not confessing to you, Delaney. She is racing you to the prosecutor." Colton Reyes did not come to me. He went to Beckett, and that was the smartest thing he ever did, because a man who walks up to the wife hands the defense a free page of cross-examination. They met in a parking lot behind a hardware store, and Beckett let me listen from his car with the window down. Colton was 34, licensed, and shaking. He kept looking at the road like he expected someone to come up it. He told me to sign the client forms and said the compliance review was already done. Colton got out, and I signed them. All of them, without reading past the first page. Grant told me if this ever came apart, we both go down together, he said, and I believed him for 2 years. Beckett let the silence sit before he answered. "He was not telling you the truth about that," Beckett said. "He was telling you a rule that only runs one direction." Then Colton said the thing the whole case had been waiting for. "There's a call," he said, and he was already pulling out his phone. Grant made me phone a retired teacher who kept asking where her statements went, and he stood there while I did it. I recorded it, because I record every client call, and in Tennessee, I only need my own consent. Beckett straightened at that, and asked him whether Grant spoke on that recording, and Colton nodded and said Grant took the phone from him halfway through. I heard it that night. Grant's voice came through the speaker and told a 71-year-old woman named on the account that her money was in a holding position, that these things settle slowly, that she should not worry. He was warm. He was patient. It was the exact voice he used on me for 5 years. The same tempo. The same soft landing at the end of the sentence. That is the part I will never get out of my head. Not the video. Not the caption. That he sounded like he loved her too. The firm held its client appreciation night in a hotel ballroom off West End, and I walked in with an invitation that still had my married name printed on it. I did not take a microphone. I did not speak to the room. I sat at a back table with Beckett Doyle and a glass of water I never lifted, and I watched my husband work a crowd of people whose retirement money was already gone. He was good at it. That was the hardest part to sit through. A woman came toward my table before anything else happened. 71 years old, holding her clutch with both hands the way people do when they are afraid of dropping something. She was the name on the account from Colton's recording, and she knew my face from the letters. "Is this your seal?" she said, and she put a photocopy on the table in front of me. My name, my commission number, my tilted stamp. My mouth opened and nothing came out of it. I have taken down thousands of answers in my life, and I did not have one for her. 10 minutes later, 2 agents came through the side door. They did not rush, and they did not raise their voices. They walked past my table, past the bar, past a server holding a tray of glasses that never made it to anyone, and they stopped in front of Grant Ashby and asked him to step outside with them. Conversation kept going for a few seconds in the far corner of the room, because people are slow to understand what they are watching. Then it stopped everywhere at once. He turned and found me at the back table, and he still looked like a man who believed he owned the room. "You did this," he said, loud enough for the tables between us. "You have no idea what you just did to yourself." It was the only thing I said to him in 11 days. I have taken down sworn testimony from a lot of men who were certain they would never sit in that chair. I told him, and every one of them said something like that first. Sutton Blakely was not in the ballroom that night. She had walked into the United States Attorney's office 3 days earlier. Grant Ashby was indicted in federal court on wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. And it was the second charge that finished him. Because that one carries 2 years that must run consecutive to everything else, and no attorney in this country can bargain it away. His assets were frozen. His license is gone for life. Sutton Blakely pleaded guilty to conspiracy and to falsifying bank records, lost her license, and is barred for life from working at any insured institution in the United States. And she testified against him for 11 hours. Colton Reyes is barred from the securities industry forever, 34 years old with no career left. And he walked out of that courthouse a free man because he spoke first. Cass Bellamy got written up by her firm for touching an open matter. She kept the file anyway, and the copy she saved of that live stream, with its source and its timestamp, is what proved Grant lied about where he was. My commission was reinstated in the spring. The letter came in a plain envelope, and I read it standing in my kitchen. And then I sat down on the floor. The firms started calling again within a month. I testified for 2 days. Somebody else sat at the machine and took down every word I said. And I had never once been on that side of the record. Beckett Doyle waited in the hallway both mornings and never asked me for anything. He is still here. I let him stay. And that was my decision, made in my own name. I have written down other people's truth my whole life. This is the first time the words were mine. If any part of her stayed with you, sit with it a moment. Then tell me below what you found on the other side. I am still here. And so are you.